If you like. So, my name is Nishin Kavasidas. I've been serving in ISKCON as the leading minister since 2005. I was serving under Pujari in Maharaj before that, since about 1997, then 96. And then this is Meli Manohar, a dear friend of mine from ISKCON London. He was the head Pujari there for 21 years. Very, just completely turned the department around. And before it was like they were struggling to have enough devotees to do the service, and now you've got too many devotees to do the service. You've got to wait weeks and weeks to get on the roster sometimes. And this is Brother Mahanbum, another good friend of mine from New York. He's assistant head Pujari in New York with Radha Govinda, and he's also a representative for the northeast section of the US. So I was speaking with, well, this is my bad with names, you have to forgive me. Mahamani. Oh, I have a friend in Australia called Mahamani. He's the treasurer for the GBC. That's a good name for a treasurer. And so he was asking me to, oh, you're going to stick that over here somewhere, right?
I'm going to keep it on your...
No, on the floor.
In the floor, it's okay.
So he was asking me to talk a little bit about cleanliness. And you've probably heard this a million times before, right? Gotta be clean, gotta be clean, gotta be clean. Yeah? And Prabhupada, he spoke about it practically every time he spoke about deity worship. He emphasized 5 things that for him were very important. Cleanliness, punctuality, nice flowers, like really fragrant flowers, and scents, beautiful bog offerings are very opulent. Prabhupada would say for the deities, the offering should be opulent, and for the devotees, the prasad should be succulent, so it's tasty. And then also beautiful dressing, very, very nice dresses, etc. for the deities. But the thing he emphasized above anything else is the cleanliness. And there's an interesting quote he mentions in the Bhagavad Gita about cleanliness. And he said, without cleanliness, it's not possible to make spiritual advancement. So for me, that's like a really profound statement. If you're not clean, you're not going to make spiritual advancement. And of course, we have our cleanliness, meaning we wash our clothes, we bathe every day, things like that. But that's the beginning. That's like, there's an interesting, like the last 4 chapters of the 7th canto, Narada Muni is instructing Yudhisthira Maharaj on Varnashram. And there's one verse there, I think it might be the 2nd of those 4 chapters, where Narada Muni explains to Yudhisthira Maharaj the 30 qualities of human life. So, and he talks about cleanliness. So the point is there is, if we're not clean, we're not even at the level of being a human being. That's, animals are not clean. And you'll see like unfortunately, because of our conditioning, we bring a lot of negative kind of baggage with us into ISKCON. And so from the point of, especially when we take Brahman Diksha, or as Prabhupada would call Brahman initiation, this is the process of learning how to be a Brahmana. And a Brahmana, at least in Kali Yuga, there's 2 qualities of a Brahmana. And does anyone know those 2 qualities are?
Truthfulness and cleanliness. Truthfulness and cleanliness.
Yeah, exactly. Arjavam and Socham. These are the 2, because the other ones are very difficult to have, but in Kali Yuga, at least we should be truthful, and at least we should be clean. And that's to be a Brahmana. And there's many nice examples in ISKCON of devotees who are very rabbinical in their personal cleanliness. Some I can think of, Radhanath Maharaj. Spent a lot of time with him over the years, been in his room. Has anyone ever been in his room in Chowpatty? All there is the mat on the floor and the books. That's it. And it's just spotlessly clean. Shivaram Maharaj, he has quarters in both I've been into his rooms both in Budapest and in the farm in Hungary, and also in Vrindavan. And the bedroom, his whole room in Budapest is made of glass. Glass desk, glass stairs, glass balustrades, everything glass. And the reason is, you know what glass is like, one fingerprint stands out, you know, you can really see it. And he says, quite ridiculous, and we also see that Srila Prabhupada was spotlessly clean. And there's plenty of evidence of that, you know, like you know, I had extensive conversations with Jamuna Mataji about cleanliness, and we've even got a recording of her on our YouTube channel where she's talking about cleanliness and her experience with Prabhupada. There's one interesting story she told me, I think I told this the other day, that she was cleaning Prabhupada's rooms when Prabhupada was staying at Radha Damodar, so it was probably the first time they went to India. And when Prabhupada would go on his morning walk, she'd stay back and clean the rooms and just do everything nice. And so she'd wipe the desk down and, you know, wipe everything, you know, on the desk, the pens and you know, all the staplers and all this sort of stuff. And Prabhupada came back and she was feeling quite satisfied that she cleaned everything very nicely. And Prabhupada, he quizzed, he says, Jamuna, when will you ever learn? And Jamuna was confused. She didn't know what Prabhupada was talking about. She said, I don't know what you mean, Swamiji. He says, when will you ever learn? He says, what do you mean, Swamiji? He says, when will you ever learn to clean? And so Jamuna was feeling very perplexed about this because she thought she'd done a you know, good job on cleaning the room. And then so Prabhupada, he picked up the stapler that was on the desk. So, Oshun. Please don't have an argument in the corner. So Prabhupada picked up the stapler that was on the desk, and you know, Jamuna's obviously thinking the stapler's clean. Then he opened the stapler, and he wiped his finger inside and he said, see, dust. So this is the kind of cleanliness Prabhupada was referring to. And even we see that Sanatana Goswami in the Hari Bhakti-Vilas, again he talks about cleanliness, and he said it means if something is free from stain or odor. Okay? And so just like, I'll give an example, is the Archman cups that we're using here for Tulsi Puja in the morning. They're not clean. So we're actually worshipping Tulsi with dirty water, which is disrespectful to Tulsi. She's a pure, unalloyed Vaishnava, pure unalloyed servant of Krishna. And so we're using Archman spoons to serve her, which aren't clean. So therefore the water that goes in them also is unclean. And so every detail of the service we need to look at, is this clean? Does everyone here know Rukmini, Anuttama's wife?
Yeah.
There's a letter that Prabhupada wrote to Rukmini, I can't remember what year it was, and in the letter he says, the idea is samak cleanliness, that will satisfy Krishna. So as I was mentioning this the other day, is when you're on the summit of the mountain, what does that mean?
There's no more to go up.
There's no more to go up,
Yeah.
exactly. So it means if you've got something to the point where it cannot be cleaned any further, you're done. It's clean. But if you can make it cleaner, it's not clean. And this is, you know, this is the type of consciousness brahmanas need to be cultivating. Not just pujaris, but brahmanas. Because in every aspect of our life, we need to be spotlessly clean. And there's a reason for it. It's not, you know that story of Raghava Pandit, where he was bringing the coconuts. Everyone familiar with that story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita? And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gives a purport on that, and he says that Raghava Pandit was not a crazy fellow with some cleansing phobia. He was just interested to see that the most pure things were offered to Krishna. And that's where we need to be coming from also in our service, to see that whatever we're after Krishna is completely pure, because Krishna is the supreme pure. And if I want to approach the supreme pure, I also must be pure. And I was reading a reference yesterday, no, night before, when Billy was sleeping, I was reading this really interesting reference, where Prabhupada was talking about how people who are still kind of attached to material enjoyment should not be allowed on the altar. and they shouldn't be allowed to touch the Radha Krishna deity. So again, he's emphasizing the point of purity, how we have to be pure to touch Radha Krishna. Because we're not pure, we'll get reactions. And sometimes over the years I've seen devotees get quite heavy reactions in their service to deity because they're not pure. But if we're pure, then we're able to. When Prabhupada installed the deities in Los Angeles, when he was walking up the brass deities there, he gave this very interesting analogy where he said, it's just like, I can't remember the detail of it, but he was talking about how, here I am I'm sitting in front of the fire, who's doing the fire yoga, and I'm feeling heat. And he says, why? Why do I feel the heat? It's because there's incompatibility. My nature's not the same as the fire. So in the same with the deity, if we're not pure, if we don't have this nature of fire, he's talking about purity, if we don't have this nature of fire when we serve the deity, because there's incompatibility, there'll be a reaction. But if we become pure in our service to the deity, if we are able to give up material impurities, then Krishna will be satisfied to accept our service. And there's a letter also, he said, if we're always attentive to punctuality and clearness, the deity will be happy to accept our service. But if we're not, then Krishna won't accept our service. And so we need to keep this firmly in mind. Nali Manohar, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I can tell your tone of voice when you're going to ask me to say something.
We've been doing this service together for more than 15 years, so he kind of knows me by now.
Yeah, so fortunately or unfortunately, we should always be in anxiety that things are clean, especially the head Pujari. I know as head Pujari, there's always my anxiety, especially in the Pujari department where you've got many devotees. And I think you have many devotees doing services, many coming in and many going out. It's a constant service. I mean, even in the spiritual world where everything's clean, but they clean. It's just, so it's kind of something which we have to especially imbibe in everyone, but especially those who are coming into the Pujari department, especially, that we want to imbibe this culture of things being clean. Because that's where it really starts. Those who are coming in, they can help to, help keep it clean. Because sometimes if we've been there, sometimes we may not notice things so much. Cause house blinding, we might not notice things. But the point I'm making here is that I think it's a constant thing we have to be aware of, keeping things clean, and that's our whole. That's what we want to do in spiritual life. We want to keep the heart clean. That's the whole purpose, is so we can get purified. Ajeto, Darpadam, Marjanam. So I think I spent most of my time as head Pujari, I think I spent a lot of it cleaning. And it can be quite a selfless task, because you may be cleaning a cupboard and no one's going to know. No one's going to say anything. You may be cleaning underneath the sink, or cleaning the waste pipe, or cleaning the top of the skirtings, or cleaning in between, the fridge door where people put their hand. It's not like when you dress Radha Krishna, someone comes up and says, "Oh, you've really dressed nicely." So often it's a selfless service. Even our Pujari department, when the Shinkarvacha group came to our Pujari department many years ago to do a report, his report was, everything is unclean. So our Pujari department is quite small. We have many people coming and going up, but we are trying to create that sense of culture to keep things clean, And sometimes it does need training. Some devotees are just not kind of so tuned into it. So it's up for us, at least us, the full-time Pujaris, those are senior Pujaris, is to try and imbibe that mood and that culture of things being clean. So that's why I'm saying you are the full-time Pujaris, you are making sure to the best of your ability things are clean. But when devotees are coming into the Pujari department as well, then we really want to train them. Often we're not trained to be clean. I know in Hungary, the Gurukul children get trained to clean. They spend a lot of time cleaning, and they're trained to clean specifically. And even when things are not dirty, then they're cleaning. Like the windows, they're cleaning all the time. So it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a concept, you know, like we're hearing about it again and again and again. We've heard it again and again, but it's good to hear it again and again. It's good to hear it again because then it does seep in. Like we just did training from 9 days, and we was assessing the devotees for the ashram cups, as you know, from 1 to 10. So that's helped to imbibe a certain culture, a certain understanding what is clean and what is not clean. Because sometimes we don't notice, so it's good to spend time as well with devotees who are clean, as Shinkarajpuri was mentioning. In some temples which are known for being very clean, you can really see what it means to be clean. I know in my Guru Maharaj, he has a place, he stays in Mayapur, and there's everyone's cleaning all the time. Must be 5 or 6 people cleaning the walls every day, cleaning the floor, the walls, every part of it. It's just a culture. And even now, like I'll be dressing when I get back. We're flying today. I'll be dressing Radha Krishna on Wednesday, then on Sunday, if Krishna willing. But it's just my nature what I do. If I've got Krishna's jewelry ready and I've got 5 minutes, then I'm cleaning a fire extinguisher. That's one thing that gets neglected, the dust on the fire extinguisher. And I run my, I look on. We have marble skirting. And I run my finger along the marble skirting, and there's dirt, and I clean that. When I sit down to do Achman, I look at the skirting there, and I clean that after the Achman. I'm just constantly in this mood as much as I can be. It's just natural. Whenever I'm in the Pujari department, I'm looking for anything that's not clean, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. There's always something that needs cleaning. I guess that's Krishna's mercy as well, to keep us engaged. Like we have a problem, we got this beautiful new floor in our Pujari department, new flooring, really nice, really, because our flooring before, it was in sections and water was getting through, so it's all coming up. So we got this flooring, it's got no seams in, but it's got, because we wanted to get slightly flooring where less chance of slipping, because devotees are moving around. So it's got really slightly abrasive, but now it's all dirt collecting in this. So you can see where the Pujaris stand to get up the jewelry for Radha and Krishna. It's all dirt on the floor. Where they stand to wash the pots in the kitchen, it's dirt on the floor. So that was our project just before we came here. Was you have to get down on your knees with a wire scrubber. And clean. So it's also it create a sense of it's not like a drudgery, because it's Krishna's service. It's wonderful to do. It's like for us as well, like when we're chanting the holy name and we're trying to develop a pure heart, and we identify things which are not so pure. Then we Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. My Lord, I don't want that. We chant, we're cleaning the heart. So as we're moving about as service to Pujari department, every time I dress for Radha Krishna, because we have an altar like you have, it's kind of wooden and it's carved, and on top of every turn of the altar there's dust. So every time I'm dressing Radha Krishna, I'm cleaning this, cleaning that. So it's good if you can. If the more Pujaris are doing that, and when people come in, then they see it. So you're creating a culture of cleaning, cleaning. And that's what can really help. So anyway, a few thoughts. I know it's. I know what it's like for a head Pujari, and because the standards should be cleanliness, should be absolute cleanliness. Every bit of dirt is a transcendental anxiety. But we went into the kitchen, it's pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, we've been to a good few temples, and a lot of the temples are pretty bad. One temple we won't mention it. What was it? It was shocking. It was shocking. It was like, But is he doing quite good, you know? As far as I can see anyway. So cleaning is a joy because it's part of our devotional life. We want to clean the heart, we want to clean everything around us, you know, it's constantly cleaning. The pots, how to get the water black off the pots. Very big on so much.
One of the things we also talk about in terms of cleanliness is there's different aspects of the cleanliness. Help me if I will forget some, I'm sure of it. So there's things like, you know, Atma Shuddhi, which means the self, the body, the consciousness, things like that. And of course we know, and one thing I think we're all familiar with is how to purify the consciousness, obviously through chanting Krishna's holy name and remembering Krishna. But then the body, how to cleanse the body. When we cleanse the body, we bathe. But also simple things like a lot of devotees don't understand. You know, it's like when do you cut your fingernails? When do you if you're shaving your head or shaving your face or whatever, when do you do that? When do you clean your teeth? You know, there's an order to do things to ensure that you're maximum clean. So usually, if you have to go to the toilet, the bathroom, whatever you call it, you do that first, you know, and then you might shave or whatever, cut your nails. When you cut your nails, for instance, Garuda Purana explains that hair, nails, nose phlegm, things like this, you know, all these things that come off the body, these are the food for ghosts. Yeah? Ghosts eat these things. So if you're shaving your hair and throwing it in the rubbish bin, and obviously the ladies don't shave their hairs, but you know, guys shave it and they throw it in the rubbish bin, it means, and you leave it in the rubbish bin, you're attracting these unclean living entities. So usually, you know, fingernail clippings, hair, flush it down the toilet. You know. Obviously having a toilet in the house is not ideal, but that's what we have here, so we just try to be as clean as we can. And then usually you pass, you know, go to the toilet, you pass, then you shave, cut nails, whatever you got to do like that. Then last thing you do before you have a shower, clean your teeth. And then scrape your tongue. Then you shower. After you've done all these kind of things that make you impure, then you shower. So the last thing you do is your bathing. And things like, you know, cloth. What type of cloth can you wear? You can wear silk, jute, cotton, or wool. These are the only things that are pure. Anything else is impure. Even like you get a lot of these South Indian style dhotis. I don't know if anyone's got them. Doesn't look like anyone's got one. The other ones with a big white border. They're quite common among some of the Indian Pujaris. But they're impure because that big white border is synthetic. Same with some of the saris you find, with the ones with the quite elaborate border, they're synthetic. And they're easy to tell because after being washed a few times, they wrinkle because the cotton or the silk will shrink at a different rate from the synthetic, so you get those wrinkles in them. So yeah, pure cloth. Also when we dry ourselves, we should dry with pure cloth. Usually cotton's the best because it's quite absorbent. Similarly, when we're using for cleaning, I've seen it becoming more and more popular these days, the devotees using microfiber for cleaning. You know, you have microfiber, is that the term you're using, microfiber?
Yeah. We use towels.
Cotton.
No, I mean, so a lot of temples now are using these microfiber cloths because they're really absorbent, they catch dust. They're good for that, but they're impure because they're synthetic. So we need to use, you know, pure cloth for cleaning. And also, as far as practical, the deities, they should only be dressed in pure fabrics. You know, we have a dress shop in Mayapur, we don't use any synthetic fabrics, we use silk or cotton because it's pure. So we've got what we start with, Atma Shuddhi, then Dravya Shuddhi. Dravya Shuddhi means all the elements such as the plates, the Achman cups, the drinking cups, the bowls, the spoons, all that sort of stuff. All the utensils you use for the deity need to be spotlessly clean. If you're using copper, for instance, not many temples use copper because it's hard to keep clean, but Krishna likes it. It's Krishna's favorite metal. He really likes copper. Above gold, silver, platinum, anything, he likes copper. And so, you know, but you have to every day clean it. So all the paraphernalia needs to be spotlessly clean, no marks, anything on it. And then also Dravya refers to the items we're offering. Like you know, the food items, the incense, the ghee wicks, all that sort of stuff. If something falls on the floor, if it can't be washed, then you discard it. Like incense stick or ghee wick or something like that. You discard.
Stainless.
I just want to talk a little bit about the Dravya. So it's a similar thing. It's like if you have some food item and it's seen by a low living entity, like cats, dogs, insects, stuff like that, then it becomes contaminated and can't be offered to Krishna. Or one thing that's been mentioned to me sometimes is that, I've seen it, you know, I remember one temple I was visiting in Europe where the situation was this Pujari who was cooking the Raj Bhog every day, he would only cook the Raj Bhog if he could take the whole thing home. And for me that was kind of a little bit unusual because in my mind he's already enjoyed it before he's even cooked it, because he's thinking this is my lunch. But actually no, we're cooking for Krishna. I have come across some cooks who they cook and they won't eat anything because they don't want to contemplate enjoying it, because they want to develop this consciousness that this is for Krishna. And this needs to be the whole purpose of what we're doing in deity worship, is we're cultivating this consciousness that I'm doing this for Krishna, I'm not doing it for any other purpose other than for pleasing Krishna. And if we can cultivate that mentality, then that's going to help us to advance very quickly in devotional service, just because I do it for Krishna and for no other reason. Not because I want to become spiritually advanced, not because I want to become a great devotee or recognized as a great Pujari or a good cook or whatever. Simply, I just want to please Krishna. And this is the mood of the residents of Braj. You'll see everything they're doing, isn't it? They don't do it for any other reason than they want to please Krishna. They want to satisfy Krishna, because Krishna is the most lovable person. He's the supreme object of affection. Then we have Stanaswati. That means the place where you're doing the worship. It needs to be spotlessly clean, free from hair, ash, bones, dead insects, whatever. So usually before we do the worship, we clean the whole area where we have the worship. And actually we had an interesting experience. Who was it? Anuradha? Yeah. When she sat down to her worship, she got some blue masking tape and marked out the area where she's going to the worship, so she knew what to clean. You haven't seen that one before, but it's a good conscience, because she wants to make sure that area is clean. And so we should do that, because just like, you know, out in the room at the back there where we worship the Radha Krishna deities, you know, you're inviting Krishna to come into that room. And so as servants of Krishna, someone who's trying to please Krishna, we should be doing our best to make sure that space is spotlessly clean. You know, we wipe the benches down, the floor's clean, we wipe underneath the benches, whatever. Just so there's no dirt, there's no whatever, you know. Because the thing is also, if the place is dirty, you will attract vermin, such insects, mice, etc. It's just what happens. So, very important that we're spotlessly clean. And so what have we got? We've got
Chitta Shuddhi.
Huh?
Multi-study.
Mantra Shuddhi, yeah. So this is an interesting one. Oftentimes devotees think this means you chant the mantras purely or chant the mantras with correct pronunciation. But my realization of this one is that it really means that you've received the mantra in the right way. You know, Sampradaya Vihine Mantrasthe Nishwanamataha. You receive the mantra from an authorized person, from Guru. And that way the mantra has potency. Because if you receive it from somewhere else, it has no potency. And this is what the Padmarama says, it's Nishpalamata. If you don't receive it in the right way, there's Nishpala, there's no fruit. Something
Need to translate.
Translation.
Some words she can get.
am I speaking too quick? I can slow down if you need.
Okay, it's good. No problem.
It's all right? Okay.
Only one question I no understand. One word.
One word you didn't.
Only one word I no understand.
Okay. But if you need me to repeat something, just say, I'm happy to do that. Yeah. And so, by receiving the mantra from the right source and chanting it with faith, that because I've received this mantra from the right person, and therefore it will have its effect, then we make spiritual advancement from these mantras. But if we don't receive the mantra in the proper way, then we won't get the benefit. And then I've got them all except for Mantra Shuddhi. Murti Shuddhi, yeah, Murti Shuddhi. So that I was on the altar this morning. I haven't been on the altar at all here because of the teaching. I was just too focused on trying to make sure we've got all the content ready and stuff like that. So what's going on here? It's not doing its thing. I'm just going to show you some pictures. Let's try and find a few good pictures. Okay, so here's an element of Murti Shuddhi. Yeah? Can you all see that?
Mhm.
and make it full screen.
Yeah, I'll try and make it full. Let's see if the computer's going to cooperate. It didn't cooperate on it before. There we go. Alright. So, this is, I mean, I'm sure you know who that is. Yeah. And you see the blue tack on his forehead and on his crown and stuff like that? When you undress the deity, you need to remove all the blue tack. Take it all off. Because also, you use this stuff called sticky tack, right? Which is quite gummy.
Yeah.
I find blue tack is much more effective. It doesn't go gummy so quickly. But also, you need to replace it regularly, because what happens when it goes gummy is you know what I mean by gummy? It becomes like really sort of sticky. Kind of, it's hard to remove it. So you need to replace it regularly. But also, because it is by nature sticky, it absorbs dust in the air and it becomes dirty. So regularly replace it, but also take everything off the deity before you dress him. Before you start putting things back on, remove all the blue tack. Yeah.
We just did, before I came, the last 2 or 3 months, we was doing a big clean of our deities right out under the shrub. So I can share some things that we use to clean the deities specifically. Because you got incense, you got camphor, and over the years it really collects up on places. Because when you dress the deities, you wipe them down, but there's places you really don't clean. That's behind them and things like that. And so occasionally you need to do a good clean with the
This is Srimati on his hand. And you see there's blue tack there. There's blue tack and dirt around the hands here. Yeah. And this is like what? Yeah.
When I do my service, I take the same glue and I try to take out all what I can.
I'm not trying to personalise this at all. It's got nothing to do with individuals. It's just
No, she just said.
She said that it is correct to do that because she says she tried all, but I think this is getting old.
Yeah, we use when it's like this, you can try eucalyptus oil, but make sure eucalyptus is a bit diluted, doesn't go on the painted areas, but it cleans it really nicely.
Eucalyptus oil quite powerful.
With some cotton wool, with some water, eucalyptus.
Con agua.
Yeah, put it on a cotton bud.
Oh, con un algodón.
Really good.
But also, you might want to explore using blue tack rather than this sticky tack because it's too kind of, it just dissolves too easily, you know, it just becomes very...
Blue tack's available here, US?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
We buy it.
Because like with the blue tack, you can just roll it on the existing blue tack and it takes off very easily. Whereas this stuff here, I've used this when I was the head Pujari in DC, we were using this and I didn't like it at all. It's not nice. You can also use beeswax, but if it gets hot here, you'll find what happens in the summer is all the jewellery falls off. Right, so that's her beautiful lotus hand. Then what else we have here? Same thing there. You can see on her crown. There's blue tack and stuff up there on the crown.
You have molded lordships here have molded crowns and sari and London as well have the same.
Yeah, a lot of the early deities have that. Now this is maybe this is not the best one. I'll show you the next one I've got.
It looks like
and you can see here also. This is about Starneshwari as well. Around the lotus, you can see all that stuff wedged in there. So what I recommend you do is get some sort of stiff brush, and just get in there. And you can also maybe get a nail file that you use, one that's not been used by the way, just a new one, and then clean around there, and then just get a brush and brush it out, and then probably get Celastic sealer is like a clear Celastic. You understand what that is, Mahamani?
No.
It's like they use it for sealing things.
Yeah, and you could fill it, kind of.
Yeah, so it comes clear. And so what I suggest do is clean that out and then run a bead of Celastic around the top of it so other things can't fall down in there. Yeah? Because it's full of all sorts of gunk. You'll get cockroaches, you can get cockroaches living in there and all sorts of stuff. What else we got here?
Silicone.
Yeah.
Yeah, silicone, yeah. Just different places they call it different names. You can see here, you know, there's some beads wedged in there and stuff. These are the types of things, like Prabhupada in a letter he wrote to Bhadri Maharaj, and he said, Pujari means very fastidious person. So fastidious means you're particular about making sure everything is just right, not that you're necessarily fussy or anything like that. Let me see if I can find the other one I was looking for. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's a good one. This is, I think this is, Vrindavan Chandra's lotus feet. You see the dirt in between his big toe? So that shouldn't be there. That's God's feet. That shouldn't be there. That should be spotlessly clean. You can get like a handkerchief and maybe the blunt end of a toothpick and just, cotton bud or Q-tips are too big to do that, but you get sort of some thin cloth and just clean that out. In London you use rose water, yeah?
Yeah.
You can use rose water and just clean it out, but that should be spotlessly clean, always. Because this is the object of our life. These two lotus feet, this is what we're aiming for. We don't even keep them clean.
It's a nice service as well, people's lotus.
And for me, it used to be when I went on the altars, I'd be looking at all the details of the service, you know, the arti, how they're doing the puja and stuff like that. Now I just look at the deities. I look for scratches, different types of damage, and I look for this. The deities should be spotlessly clean, no dirt on them. Like right around his left hand, there's lots of dirt around the beads and stuff like that. You can see also there's blue tack and all that sort of stuff, and dirt around here. There's dirt in between his toes. So just try to be aware of that when you're dressing your deities.
This is Prahlad feet.
Oh,
Radharani.
that's Vrindavan Chandra.
Krishna.
Radharani.
This
No,
is
it's
Prahlad.
Krishna?
Is it? Maybe it's
Prahlad,
Prahlad.
yeah.
You should know.
Even
This is Prahlad.
But yeah, it's
No, because Krishna, he doesn't have this.
Oh.
beads.
okay, yeah.
Woods are wrong.
But
Prahlad.
the point is like whoever's feet it is, they should be clean.
This is Prahlad. Prahlad.
Yeah, you're right because of the sequence of the photos. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there's just a few points that I think are really important. Huh? And okay, I'll show you this one here. This is
Small rather.
Yeah. Two things here. See the blue tack on the wig? That's not good. You can remove that with eucalyptus oil. You get eucalyptus oil on cotton or cloth and you just dab it and it will start to melt the blue tack.
The problem is that when we put the crown on it is because they're so small. That's why the blue tack is there to put
Yeah,
the
but you
crown.
just, I mean, there's different ways you can deal with that. One is you can make, you know what backroom is? Who's sewing? Anyone who's sewing?
Velcro. Velcro.
Velcro.
No, backroom.
It's stiff.
It's like a gauze fabric which you can wet it and shape it. They use it in sewing. They use it sometimes for
In
making.
Hindi it's called bukram.
Bukram, okay, yeah, so
It's very stiff.
I come from Australia. I did different.
They make the affordances, the back of the affordances are
It's-
important.
yeah,
in the
mainly
arts.
So
for the
yeah,
crowns.
but what you can do is you can put that on the shape it, put it on the inside of the wig, and stitch the wig to it, and then you put the blue tack on that. Or you can also, because oftentimes the deities have got like a top knot or something, you make a hole in it. So you put that over the hole with the wig stitched to it, and it's not going to move. Then you don't need to use blue tack. Yeah, because did anyone ever have? Any of you ladies ever have the experience when you were at school that someone put bubble gum or chewing gum in your hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So disgusting.
It's not nice, huh?
Yeah.
It's not nice at all. So and the only way you get it was to cut the hair. Yeah. So this is a similar kind of idea, and also she really needs to be painted.
You know, the paint goes so quickly off.
She just did it.
Yeah.
Both sets
You
of
paint-
Do for
I
Radharani.
paint, yeah, but
Okay.
it goes immediately.
Okay, no, well, I can tell you how to deal with that.
Okay.
Because I paint the deities in Australia, we've found a way of making it last. Like, before I started painting, Govardhan, he's black marble, and we have gold tilak on his large, deity about this big, and he's got gold tilak. So I did a bit of research to find out how I could make because we have to repaint the tilak every week. It was just so bad, it would just come off like that, because black marble is not very porous. And so I came across this thing called an all-purpose primer, which you can paint on glass and you can't get it off. And so I put this primer on, and then I found a gold paint, which they use in the movies, you know, when they make up all these pirate ships and stuff like that. And you put it in a clear 2-pack. You put that on. 3 years it was there for before I had to repaint it.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
So what you can do for metal deities is you go to an automotive paint shop, you know, the places that have paint for cars, and then you get what they call an etch primer, right? And you paint the etch primer onto the metal because it's designed to bond to metal. And then on top of the etch primer, you get what they call a 2K paint. 2K means you mix paint and a hardener. And so it's touch dry in 20 minutes. You know, so you can very easily paint the deities quickly. You don't have to stop the worship or anything like that. And you'll find that'll last for a long time. You just have to get the right paints. Using oil paints
I'm using
or
animals for
enamel
cars.
paints, they're not really suited to this. Okay? They're suited to something, because these again, you know, devotees are polishing these. You know, how many times you polish daily or weekly? Because, and usually when devotees, you know, what's often the case is when they polish the deities, they're polishing the paint, they're polishing the metal, they're polishing everything. And you can't convince devotees not to do it.
It's too much oil as well, the oil in like the massage.
Yeah, but see, one of the challenges we have there is Sanatana Goswami told us the oil goes on the head. You know, so we have to follow Acharya. But let's find a paint that doesn't react with the oil.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We use these 2K paints. And, you know, you look at cars, right? The paint on cars is very, very hard. They get stones bouncing off them, you know, doors, paint. You know, it's quite hard paint. So we're using the same paints on our deities in Australia.
Lacquer as well, on top, maybe?
I was doing it, but I didn't find it improves the life of it. It's just 2K. I don't know what it's polyurethane or 2K.
Perhaps you could write some of this.
I was just,
exactly, to send you exactly what the paint's called.
The thing's called an etch primer.
Yeah, it's primer.
Etch
I
primer,
know.
etch primer is what they call etch, ETCH primer, and that's what they put on the metal. Like if you go into any automotive body shop, and you'll see when they're painting the cars over bare metal, they put this stuff called etch primer, and that bonds to the metal. And then they'll put their paint over the top of that because the primer's designed to bond to the metal, the paint's designed to bond to the primer. Yeah? So it'll last much better. The only problem is you have to mix it up with syringes.
What is that, sorry?
Syringe, you know, these things they use for injecting drugs into you,
Oh,
you know, when you go to the doctor.
so,
So I use 1 mil syringes because I only use very, very small amounts at a time. And usually the ratio is 2 to 1 or 10 to 1.
so you mix each primer with the paint?
Yeah, but you have to be very, very careful with the paint to ensure that you don't contaminate. So it means like I've got the hardener here, I've got the paint here. I use 1 syringe for the paint, I use 1 syringe and don't mix them.
Let's just be clear, so you're not saying mix the paint, the primer and the paint together? You're not
No, you have to mix, no, the primer's a separate thing, that's the first coat.
Use
Ah,
the
so
hardener,
it's-
the hardener and the
Yeah. You have hardener, sorry?
Which goes with the paint?
Car, also for the car paints?
Yeah.
Hardener?
So you put the primer on first, that's first coat.
Yeah,
Then second coat you use the 2K paint, yeah? And you have to mix it, the 2K paint with a hardener, which makes it hard but it also makes it go off very quickly. And you also need to use what they call a thinner to clean your brush and stuff, but try to do it where you've got plenty of ventilation because the stuff's quite
very
toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll find that it'll keep the deities looking good for you know, all the
Can
time.
try each primer.
But just you try it out. But you know, like I have 1 mil syringes, and I'll take like half a mil of paint and 0.25 mil of the primer. Oh, sorry, the hardener, and I mix them together. But don't use the same syringe, otherwise you'll ruin your paint. It goes off very quickly. And you've got to keep the lids on too, because otherwise the air will cause the hardener to go off. Yeah. But yeah, so that's something that also needs to be worked on. We had a question?
I have a question. She can paint very nice with deity and everything is okay, but after that, after a few weeks, the problem back because devotees we are abused from the blue tack. We abuse blue tack jewelry, some sticks.
Yeah.
So I saw this hair new,
Yeah.
and the what is point, we put a blue tack, and after next day more blue tack and more blue tack, more blue tack, and after that it's
Yeah.
plus blue tack.
Yeah. No, I
And you
understand.
can see this in the peacock feather. You can see some peacock feather, small peacock feather, but big blue tack there. So we abuse from the blue tack and jewelry and decoration, and this create big problem because it's difficult to clean.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one thing you'll find helpful is to really look at the way you're doing things. You know, because especially you look at excuse me, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, for instance. These are historic deities. Marble becomes damaged by water, for instance. Water, because marble's porous, it absorbs the water. When it absorbs the water, microorganisms go into the marble and they start to develop like stains from fungus that's inside the marble, like bacteria. Thank you. So, so that's one thing. Like Prabhupada, he said in a conversation that the deity should never be wet. With marble, deity should never be touched by any liquid because it causes the colour to go out. But also, I mean, I've got photos of deities like this set of Gaunitai deities. They've got this big black stain down their back from this black mold that's gone into the marble. And apart from just like dabbing double strength white vinegar on it, there's not much you can do to get rid of it. Vinegar. Vinegar kills mold. Just out and gone. You know? But it's problematic to get rid of. But I think one thing you might find helpful is to like maybe find out what other temples are doing in these situations, how they're dressing their small deities, how they're not damaging the deities. Because it's obvious a lot of what we're doing may be, like if you're putting like great big blobs of blue tack on the paint, why? Why are you putting blue tack on the paint? It's like, you want to put blue tack on the fingers where you put the rings on the toes. Huh? Yes, so this comes about looking at the way you're doing things and then starting to train devotees to dress the deities properly, to care for them. Because the thing is, like, I mean, okay, we talk about deity worship, but I also talk about deity care. Is we have to care for the deities properly. We've been given a responsibility to care for Krishna. This is, all of you have this responsibility to care for the deities and to ensure that these deities are in good condition for future generations. So I would encourage you to look at the way you're doing things. Like it's not necessary to have great big blobs of blue tack on the hair.
No, it's not.
If you get this, how do you say it?
Bukram.
Bukram. And you can make like a hat that fits, over there, and the top knot sticks with it, so that'll go over the wig sewn onto that. The wig's got a hole in it as well. It just sits on the head. You don't need blue tack. When you put the crowns on, you don't need blue tack to put the crown on. You can use Velcro. You can use, you know what pipe cleaners are?
Mm-hmm.
You can use pipe cleaners, but there's a lot of different ways you can do it with crowns. Oh, forget bobby pins on deities. I mean, the amount of,
little pain in the veil.
Huh?
Pain and in the veil, behind the veil.
yeah, for Radharani's veil. So what they do in Villa Vrindavan in Italy, I mean, the head Pujari there, she's the most amazing devotee. In my opinion, she's a pure devotee, just because of her service of Krishna. And she's always got this contemplation of how to serve Krishna to the best of her capacity. So what she does is when she puts the veils on, she has the wig off the deity. She pins the veil on to the wig, then puts it on the deity. So there's no chance of scratching Radharani. I've seen deities of Radharani with gouges in her head from just constant pins, day after day after day after day.
No, but I mean in the veil, not in the hair.
He's saying in the veil, not in the hair.
Pins in the veil.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You pin the veil to the hair.
No, not here, behind. Behind.
I'm not understanding.
Stretch. ¿Cómo dices estirar la corona?
To the belt, that belt which is on the crown?
Yes.
The Velcro belt?
In the Velcro.
In the Velcro with the belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
The
a belt
crown.
on the crown, which you like use
Yeah.
to, so
When
into
she-
that one. He
After you
paints.
stretch
So
the crown.
I understand. Never pins on the hair.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, but even when using Velcros on crowns, usually what you do is, because if you put the Velcro on the head and then you close it up, you're going to catch the deity's hair in the Velcro.
Yeah, always.
So what you do is you get used to the size of the deity's head and you close the Velcro up before and then put the crown on. And if it doesn't fit, take it off and adjust it. But don't just put the Velcro on and then you got, Radharani's hair sort of caught up in the
I did this service, and sometimes I put the crown. If you put a crown and over the crown you put the bell can contain the crown.
Yeah.
And it's and the bell a small pin to close, and it is enough. I did.
So I think your idea is right, but you just have to really look at how things are being done on the altar, so you're not damaging the deities. That means that they're not getting like dirt in all the carved areas. They're not getting blocked up with dirt or with blue tack and all these different types of things. Like there's one prominent temple in ISKCON where I can't show you the pictures because you know where it is. But like they've been putting these large nose rings in Radharani's nose, and over the past 2 years they've actually worn away her nose. So you know how there's a little hole here, now it's a big hole, and the bottom part of her nose there was actually completely gone, just from pulling this out, putting it in, pulling it out, pushing it in. And so and also the scratches on the knees on Krishna's leg, it's just unbelievable how many scratches are on his leg. And if we were to do that to a person, we would be labeled as being abusive. Yet we do it to deities and there's no response. So I think really look carefully, especially the senior pujaris should be looking carefully at how you do things here and how can we do it better for Krishna. I think that's something.
Can I sorry. Did you see Gaunitai, how it's scratched here?
Yeah, I didn't show the photos, that's all.
It's just easy if you put a small jewelry. If you put big jewelry, it's a scratch and it's obviously big jewelry and a lot of blue tack. It sounds common.
But also it's the way you do it. Like I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about that, yeah?
Oh yeah, I understand.
These are the same deities. These deities are actually the same as the deities they had in Karuna Bhavan,
Scotland.
in Scotland.
Also happen with a lot of pins, excess.
It happens with Jagannath a lot too. Jagannath's the same thing. But again, it gets down to the way you do things. If you put blue tack on and pull it off, then it's just only a matter of time before the paint comes off. But also, if you use a primer, find a primer that works with something like, because these deities are made of resin, yeah? So find a primer that bonds to resin, then put your paint over the top of the primer. It's like, you've painted on canvas before, yeah? So before you start painting, you have to prepare the canvas, yeah? Or you get pre-primed canvas, so the paint will stick, otherwise the paint won't stick. So the same with the deities, you have to prepare the surface so the paint will stick. But also, is rather than just pulling the blue tack out like that, roll it off. You understand? So you just push it sideways. It will paint the paint off eventually, but not as quickly. So it's just a matter of like, not being so driven by the clock, and I want to get home to do this, and that, this sort of thing, but understand, we have to care for the deities. I mean, most of these things are avoidable to a large extent.
I think that is okay, everything is okay, but I suggest for some years, a small thing we can do to improve is to remove big jewelry, and we can do something. Big jewelry, I think it's not good for them. It's scary. You need more blue tack and scratch the deities. This is my opinion.
That may be one way of approaching it. My way to approach it would be training. that anyone who wants to dress the deities here has to go through a training system. In London, for instance, they have a really good training system. You start off, the first service you'll do in the deity department is you'll clean paraphernalia. You'll do backup service, make garlands, clean paraphernalia, set up trays. Then you go into the kitchen, and you're cutting up vegetables and stuff in the kitchen. Then you might start cooking for the deities. And then, after you've been cooking for a while, the head Pujari will see how you're going, and they might invite you to come and do service on the altar. And then you might start doing something like some small arties. You do some small arties before. So they can observe you functioning on the altar, moving around the deities, cooperating with others, etc., like that. And then, if it's seen that okay, you're progressing in the right way, you might get the opportunity to do some night dressing. So you're gradually introducing devotees in, and also all along the way, before you advance the devotee to the next service, you'll see: are they following instructions? Are they willing to hear? Are they willing to be trained? Because if they're not willing to be trained, you don't want them on the altar. Because people who want to do their own thing on the altar wind up damaging the deities, wind up messing things up. So you have to establish a whole training process. And I think I was mentioning to Maha Manipur the other day, in Radharaman temple in Vrindavan, you all know Radharaman, yeah? From the point that a young man goes on the altar, first goes on the altar to start doing service, to the point where he touches the deity. He's not doing any service or anything. He's touching the deity 17 years. Yeah? They want to make sure, because Radharaman is not an ordinary deity, a special deity. So they want to make sure that he's cared for. And I encourage you to develop the same kind of approach here. Is anyone who's invited to come on the altar, you want to be sure that person knows how to look after the deities properly here and cares for them. So that these deities will be here for generations to come, and they'll be cared for generations to come, and they'll be happy with the service you're offering to them. Personal exchange. Well, you have anything you want to?
No, perhaps you might already do this, but with the jewelry that's coming in, that gets donated or gets bought, you have to, you take the back off. If it's got like a clasp, you take it off. It's got a fine point. You have to file it down, so it's smooth. Because sometimes the jewelry comes and you just take the, it's got the point, you just clip it off with some clippers, but it's still going to leave a sharp point. If you do that, you file it down before you have to file it down, because if you put that on the deities, it's definitely going to create holes, going to damage the deities. So you get some files, some hand files.
They call them points files or gap files. They're flat. Really good.
In Manipur we have the workshop for the deities.
Yeah.
And sometimes very old deities they bring, and you cannot recognize them.
So
and they clean them with a special, like a grinder or somehow to say the cleaning. Yeah. And then you see the copper because they cover it by something like smoke, black things. And then it is normal for, I think, deities, they also like from material things done, and to restore them sometime it is okay, because devotees sometimes we have very short time. Who practicing, they know that we have for example 45 minutes, and I think only how to do it, like
how to
look, all these recommendations, open ends, sleeves, attractive, clean, and you don't think about how you
Yeah, but that has to change.
Yeah, sometimes when you dress, somebody put the pins up to down, and you with your fingers, you catch all the things. Okay, because I understand, they do it
quickly.
Yes, that's why it is happening.
What I suggest is I encourage you, I don't know if you do you have regular Pujari meetings? I would encourage you to have regular Pujari meetings where you talk about all these things that are, not being done to the best they could, and explore ways of changing it so you can actually care for the deities better.
Yeah, one thing is sometimes Pujari don't cooperate.
Yeah, but
you can say something, but no.
But you will find that, like, say for instance we've got a group of like 15 or so Pujaris here now. If you have a group of individuals who are all sort of going forward in the same direction, it will influence the others. There's an old expression: as the tide rises, all the boats rise along with the tide. So if you're all going in a certain direction, trying to, and that's why I say communicate, have meetings, talk about it, look at what's happening with these. How can we do this better? And at least if you have the bulk of the devotees doing it, then it will influence the others, guaranteed. There was a book written years and years ago called The 100th Monkey, and in this book it was a what do they call it? So when people study social kind of behavioural things like that, I forgot what the word is.
Anthropology?
Not psychology.
Anthropology?
Possibly. But what it is like this guy did a study about this one island where these monkeys on this island had taken up a particular type of behavioural trait. And then when it got to a certain number of monkeys, I think it was 100, then on this nearby island, the monkeys started doing the same thing. So by the force of all of you changing a way that things are done, and when the other devotees don't do it, say, please, this is what we've adopted as a practice now, please can you follow it? By the force of all of you taking up that practice, it will influence others. Association is very powerful. Don't just resign yourself, oh, no one's going to follow. Talk about it amongst yourselves, figure out what needs to be done better, and then work out how to do it better. That will change. It will change things, won't it?
And also we can do that when the Pujaris start to make service in the altar. First, maybe we can make the steps, like you say, no?
Yeah.
First, they need to learn clean properly the paraphernalia. Need to know where is all the ornaments and everything, no? And we can go step by step, no? Not directly to dress in the deities, no?
Because oftentimes what you find happens when someone comes new.
It's talking about. You remember the last time when I talked with you about the conscience, no? That you need to generate the proper conscience to serve the deities, no? But it's step by step.
Yeah. And that's the thing also, as you're training people up, you observe them, Mahamani, you observe what they're like. Are they good team players? Are they willing to work well with others? Are they creating disturbance? Are they willing to follow your instructions? Because you're the head Pujari, you have a big responsibility here. Your responsibility is to take care of these deities to make sure they're cared for properly. And so you can't allow someone to come onto the altar who potentially could harm the deities. So you have sufficient devotees here now. Like going back 15, 20 years, it wasn't like that. But now it's a very different situation. So start working on training the team to care for the deities. And one thing they have in London, which I think is a really good system, is like even after you've dressed Gornitai, Giriraj, and Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, it doesn't automatically mean you can dress Radha Nishra. Radha Nishra is invite only. Right? You get to dress them. And the head Pujari will consult with senior members of the community, such as the temple president, the different mentors they have there, etc., to see, do you think this devotee is suitable for dressing Radha Nishra? I would encourage you to do the same thing here, because marble deities are very easily broken. Very easily broken. And you don't want that to happen. So I encourage you to be very, very conservative about who you let dress the deities, especially, rather than Dharmachandra. You just need, you have many qualified devotees here. I do feel you can, and like Malati is a really good resource. She's got so much experience with Prabhupada. She's done so much deity work herself. She's sometimes quite strong in her views, which is okay, but she's a good resource, and she has her heart in the right place. She wants to please Prabhupada. So you've got good resources here. Raj, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered nicely the aspects of cleanliness and all those things. One thing I noticed was that, yeah, you do have an amazing team. Like you have quite a lot of Pujaris, and Pujaris who are trained to a certain level. You have
and have been here for many years.
Yeah, been here for many years also. Something we're experiencing in Brooklyn is that we had a huge change up in leadership, temple management, and so then also we had to start kind of from scratch with our Pujari department. We had maybe 3 devotees staying from the old period, 3 Pujaris, and more or less every day it was 1 Pujari dressing Radha Govinda, 1 Pujari bathing and dressing the small deities, and one Pujari bathing and dressing our Sheilas.
Every day.
Every day, yeah, 7 days a week.
Morning and night.
Morning and night, yeah, exactly. So it was quite crazy. But we've had to start more or less from scratch, and that really was kicked in when we did our temple worship unit course that you just did here, there. And so, you know, very new devotees, like some of them just got second initiation 1 year ago, 2 years ago, so on and so forth, and trying to train them up. So I think you have like a huge head start in the sense you have, you know, many senior devotees here who've been dressing for many years or cooking, or they have a standard of, you know, understanding about deity worship. Something I thought would be helpful to encourage everyone would be this mode of like servant of the servant, that we're all
Just right on cue.
yeah, exactly, servant of the das under das. So yeah, really trying to cultivate that mood, especially amongst the Pujari team, that Radha Vrindavan Chandra are here, Gornitai, everyone's here, and we're doing a joint offering. It's not just like me and my service. You know, I'm dressing this deity, and if he's running a little late, or you know, they need blue tack, they forgot, it's like, no, stay away from my blue tack. Kind of thing, because that can develop, you know, where it's like, you know, before you're going on the altar, you're thinking, I'm gonna dress the best today, it's gonna be really nice, and like, and we just tend not to think about the whole environment.
Can I mention something?
Yeah.
In the Chowpatty temple, they have an interesting situation there, because their altar, behind the backdrop is where they store all the paraphernalia, there's all the drawers and stuff there. And so there was one devotee there who gets all the jewellery out for the pujaris as they need, and takes things away, puts away. And the title of the service is Das Anu Das. It's a really nice concept, you know, because it really puts them in the right mindset of what they're doing.
Right, because I've had, you know, experiences with Acharya Nishta Prabhu. He's such a great example of this, that he's our most senior Pujari in terms of years doing deity worship, and I think also by initiation out of anyone in New York. But he'll come, not every time, but many times he'll come 45 minutes from his apartment at 3 o'clock in the morning. He must leave or something, 3:15 he leaves, comes to the temple, attends Mangalarti, and then he makes up all the trays for the Pujari. So he makes up Radha Krishna Soda Superchar tray, which takes time, you know, padyam from scratch, argyam, achmanyam, madhuparka, flowers, incense, ghee lamp, the bathing water, making sure it's hot, and put saffron in it, and all kinds of nice things. And for Girivash and Shalagram, same thing, another bathing tray. For Gornitai, another bathing tray, gets the garlands out. And then you come in to do your service, and you're like, wow. Like, someone, you know, really loves me, someone really cares. And yeah, it really creates that relationship that, like, you know, I want to sacrifice for you also, because you've done this for me. Then next time you need something, you know, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna come early and, you know, try and serve you in some way, and like, you know, hopefully you don't notice it, but then later on you'll be surprised and like, oh. So really trying to cultivate that, you know, environment here, and I'm sure you do have it, but to bring it up more and more and more. And
sometimes we have the opposite.
The opposite, yeah. There's no garlands for my
Somebody
deeds.
got more problems and
Yeah.
more disaster.
Right.
Mess. Where's the blue tag?
You can clean it up. You have more time.
More
But
time.
I think this is a really important point that Mahatma was making here. I really encourage you to try to build that family spirit on the altar, you know, amongst the Pujaris. We do this in Mayapur with our team at Mayapur Academy. And actually, Acharya this was the inspiration for this, because he was our admin there for 3 years. And it really helps, you know, people actually are willing then to commit themselves to the project. So it's the same as if you can cultivate a family sort of association or a spirit amongst all of you, then you'll commit yourself to the service, you'll commit yourself to the deities, and you'll commit yourself to each other. And so that when someone's got a bit of a problem, they're running late or something, I'll set your plate up for you, you know what I mean? It's just help each other out. Because it's not a competition. Devotional service is not a competition. And it's just like they said to the students on the first day, I think, or the second day. It's not about a competition who gets the highest grade or anything like that. We want everyone to cross the finish line together. And so that's what we want to do in devotional service. Let's go back home to Godhead together. Not just, oh, I'll see you later, I'm going. Let's go back together as a family.
Our experience with that too has been that when we have that mood, and then on the altar, like when we're finished dressing and at 7:30, the feeling is so much. You can feel that the deities are more pleased than if you like just come and do your own, you know, oh so nice dressing, so beautiful, and like you did gopi dots everywhere, like you know, I don't know, you did so many flowers, but then you know your other pujaris are struggling. They're running late or they can't find what they need, you know. But then that feeling on the altar right before the darshan, when we've all cooperated, we've all come together, it's like Krishna's much more pleased with that group offering rather than our individual like perfectionism, you know. So we've really experienced that. It's wonderful.
Rasadasi. In North America, there's you know, like in Canada or North America, there's 5 zones. Yeah? So we have a representative in Northeast, in West, Central and South, also in Canada. And so Rasadasi is our regional minister for North America. And so you want to speak about anything?
Hearing to all of you speak today, some points were coming to my mind. It's a constant work, like every second, every minute work, especially being a Pujari or a head Pujari, because we are here to serve Krishna and to please Krishna. And in everyday life, as we carry on with our commitments, with our responsibilities, along with the services, there are so many new challenges and new things, like unexpected things that keep popping up out of nowhere, and we have to keep dealing with them. At the same time, also try to, you know, make sure that the services are going well. So in this regard, like, you know, to the last point that Raj Mohan Prabhu was mentioning, that for me, more than serving deities on the altar at this point, in the last 2 years, my consciousness has shifted to a point where I want to serve devotees first, my team first. And the satisfaction that I derive out of that is just incomparable to anything else. So I just wanted to bring that point up.
That's right.
Ross is so pure.
Unique experience. He actually was dressing Nityananda on the altar in Mayapur for 3 years, yeah? And at the same time he was running the Mayapur Academy and all sorts of wonderful services. Now for the past several years he's been in New York and dresses Radha Govinda twice a week. So you'd like to share some of your wonderful experiences for
I appreciated when at the beginning of the talk, Mr. Kavish Prabhu was talking about how, you know, it's a whole not just Pujaris becoming Brahmanas, but a society of Brahmanas at the temple. And I was thinking, when you said that, a couple of years ago, I went up to Boston for Rath Yatra, and my Guru Maharaj was actually there. He was getting interviewed by one of the devotees for one of their papers or something like that. He said, how did Boston get the name New Gandicha? And he said, because Boston used to be like such a spotless temple, and how it happened was after Bhagavatam class, either after or before, I can't remember, but everybody from the temple president to the newest bhakta had an area of the temple that they had to clean. And he was like, I remember like taking a pocket knife and cleaning out underneath the baseboards, right? To such a detail that it was always like thinking that Srila Prabhupada was coming that day, you know, so every day from the top to the bottom. So getting that mentality, I think, not just with the Pujaris, but I don't know how we can do that as a society again, of like every day thinking like it's not just the Pujari's responsibility to keep things clean, it's the entire community to keep the temple clean for Radha Vrindavan Chandra, for Radha Govinda. It's not like, oh, this is my service and I'm the only one that sweeps, or I'm the only one that cleans the top of the asanas, shringasans. It also reminded me of when we had one of our Pujari Sanghas in Mayapur, and one Prabhupada disciple, she said, before Mangalarti, all the brass paraphernalia came off the altar, and everybody in the temple was responsible for cleaning, polishing it, so at Mangalarti, everything was shining like the sun. And I was like, wow. How does, so I really appreciate Raj Mohan saying whatever, but like, that's just a little piece of like, we're hoping that you hear something here and take it as like, okay, what can I apply to myself? Because there's so much that can be done. Oh, I gotta do this, we have to do this, we have to, but take one thing and like let it instill into your heart and offer that to God for Dhamma, you know, because that, you know, who are we in the face of Krishna, in the face of all these wonderful Vaishnavas?
Sorry. Mahamani Prabhu, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I don't know what to say, but no, I feel grateful, you know, to be in Vrindavan with this community and devotees. Always, I try to do my best, no? I said, bro, always time. I need more time, you know. I came, I need to go home, and, you know, family, and come back, family. So you know, I need more time to be here and do more and try to give inspiration to others, but you know, like Prabhu Kavacha told me that you need to also give inspiration to clean more, to organize it more. And sometimes, you know, I don't know if Pujaris, we had like so much service every week, every month. Sometimes I was Pujari, you know, every day, morning, evening, and noon, and you know, I said Pujari, I try to do some service, you know. I tell Jai Krishna, like, but I need to be free, you know, because if you know I'm dressing, someone is sick, you need to run into dressing and do. So for 2-3 days, I asking to Jai Krishna, please, probably more, because you know, I feel also, you know, I'm not a robot, you know. I always try to serve devotees, you know, to anything. I know that we need more cleaning, more communicate within us, and cooperate more, you know, because always is here is like, okay, finish my service, I go, and anything there, or if someone forgot something, I don't know. You know, this is my service, I go. It's difficult to have this modality, you know, when we cooperate and serve together. The other opposite is like, you know, the devotee forgot the same thing always, and the one devotee is helping always, okay, I want to put it away. But they go also tiny, you know, and okay, if he doesn't get, okay, me too, you know, doesn't get. So this create more, you know, no more quality, you know, the service. But yeah, for me, I know that we need to improve more cleaning, more communication, and maybe to make more meetings to, you know, with prasada or something like that, to create more, you know, other atmosphere, you know.
Right.
We had, you know, New Vrindavan has many facilities to you know, rooms and, you know, yoga shala, restaurant, you know, devotees cooking here, cooking there, you know, prashan everywhere. New Vrindavan, nobody is, you know, is hungry, you know. And yeah, so just I pray, you know, that everyone, you know, improve the service to the Lord. And, I don't know. I feel nervous.
If you guys can just work on relationships amongst yourself, I think that's the best thing you'll be able to do to improve the worship you're doing, because then you'll like being with each other, you'll like serving together, you'll feel happy because you're serving with your friends. So relationships are so, Vaishnava Sangha is such an essential part of our process. You look at, like in the Chaitanya Charita, it says Sadhu Sangha, Shabha Shastra Koi, Lava Mata Sadhu Sangha, Savi Siddha. The verdict of all the revealed scriptures, even by mom's association with Sadhu, you can achieve all success. And when it gives the list of, you know, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bharat Shaban Mathura Vasisha. So Sadhu Sangha is first. Why? Because it's the most important. Because if you have good association, that will inspire you to do so many things in Krishna service. So just by working on your association, working on your relationships with us, and be active in your relationship. Try to serve others, try to help others in service. You'll find that's going to really, just like Braj Mahan was talking about what Acharya Mista does in New York, that gives everyone a boost in the morning when they come in, their tray is done, they think, oh, it's so kind of him to do that for me, And so naturally, they have good feelings towards the Acharya Mista guru. And so I think if you can just work on that. Acharya,
I was going to ask, maybe you can, about this idea of like, it's not my service, I'm not going to do this. And I was thinking, maybe you can share this pastime of Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur when he's on the morning walk and he walks by the toilets and then
the toilet
for so long. Because not only like you see it, the person who gets the reaction is the person who like might have left it dirty, but then you see it and you're not doing anything either.
I was gonna play it.
I'll tell the story. So Prabhupada was on a morning walk in Mayapur, and you know where the Samadhi is in Mayapur now, Prabhupada's Samadhi? And you know the boundary wall shops on the Ganga side? So just where the boundary wall shops are, because there's a ring road around the Samadhi, and it's not there now because of the new temple. So just where that ring road was, because it used to be a big bookstore there, just where that ring road was closest to the Ganga, there was a row of workers' toilets there. And so Prabhupada, it's kind of interesting, he seemed to have radar for things that weren't right. And many stories you can see with Prabhupada. He always found, they're trying to hide the dirt or whatever, like one temple here in the US, might have even been Boston, where they just they threw everything down in the basement, and so the temple president was trying to take Prabhupada past the door so he didn't. He knew what was going on, he just came straight back forward and he pushed the door open with his cane and saw the mess. So he was on this walk in Mayapur, and he said, "Oh, what is that?" And he pushed the door open with his cane, and there was, I remember seeing it, there was 3 or 4 toilets there, and they were overflowing. And stool and urine and stuff was flowing out and going into the gutter.
The workers' toilets.
The workers' toilets. And Prabhupada was visibly upset. He got quite upset with the managers there, and he was chastising the managers. And then, just as Prabhupada was chastising the managers, Achyutananda Swami came back from Calcutta in the car. Achyutananda Swami along with Jayapataka Maharaj were the managers at that time. And Prabhupada, he turned to Achyutananda Swami and said, "This is in the mode of ignorance, and because you're in the mode of ignorance, you do nothing." And in the morning, he gave this class.
Just like I was rebuking that toilet, this is so nasty. Tamagone. And if I have no response to such tamagone place, that means I am also of that quality. Just like fire and fire, there is no reaction. But in fire and water, there is reaction. Between fire and fire, there is no reaction. But fire and water, there is reaction. Similarly, Satagone, there is no reaction. Tamagone, there is no reaction. It is, in English, it is called incompatible. When different qualities, there is reaction, chemical reaction, acid and alkali. Acid and acid you mix, there is no reaction. But acid and alkali, if you mix, there will be equation. Karanam gunasangayasya sadasajjarmajonishu. If one is developing tamogone, then if he becomes a pig next life, there is no reaction. He will be very glad that I am pig, I am dog. There is no reaction. But if one is Satugun, then he cannot tolerate. Immediately obnoxious, such a nasty condition. I am very sorry, there was no reaction in such nasty toilet room. And you are getting cigarette trade, the quality of Brahman or Sadhu, it is very regrettable. Nobody reacted. So, this is the position that unless we Taturajastamo bhava kamalo bhagayastati Chita etai anavidya sthite shakti prasidati. We have to cut down this rajagun tamagun, otherwise there is no improvement. If a person in Krishna consciousness is found, no reaction in rajagun tamagun, that is a dull stone, it is not improving. It's simply so bottle. So bottle is not there. Tato rajastamo bhava, this prescription is there. If one develops Krishna consciousness, then it is to be understood that he has surpassed Satagun, the Brahmanical qualification. Why we offer sacred thread to a person who is coming from very, very low family? Because it is to be understood by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, by following the regular principle, he has already come to the platform of Satagun. But if it is a false thing, there is no need of second initiation. There must be, one must come. Our process is, don't do this, do this. Chant Hare Krishna mantra 16 down, and don't do this, no illicit sex, no eating. That means he is becoming purified. He is becoming purified from the rotten condition of Rajagun. But if he does not, then there should be no second initiation. This should be the rule.
So quite a strong statement by Srila Prabhupada. And that's, really where we need to be at in our consciousness. It's like, am I advancing? Am I finding these low modes, Rajagun and Tamagun, am I finding them just distasteful? Or am I attracted to these things? So we have to keep working on our personal purity to try and do better for the pleasure of Krishna. You know anything you want to say, Lucy? I'm sorry I don't know your name.
Vrindavan Priya. Vrindavan Priya.
Vrindavan Priya, okay.
I'm actually just part-time Pujari, so I can say from my little perspective.
I want to hear what you have to say.
I really appreciate the whole team. Everybody's trying. It's very colorful because everybody's coming from different training and different background. Language is often like a little bit barrier. I see sometimes in communication problem because of that. But I really like we had before you were doing these Mahal cleaning days. Maybe this is something we could do not just on the Pujari scale level, but like a whole temple, have regular Gundicha Marjana days where everybody could be invited, and there could be pizza at the end or something. That usually works. But I really like all these points everybody's saying about. I made notes.
I think we were talking about this day before yesterday, yeah? About doing Maha cleaning days. And then one thing you could do is organise a feast for those who participate. Those pizza and pastas, because there has to be a carrot, because we're not all pure devotees. And so to have a carrot dangling there, if you come and clean for at least a few hours, not you come and do 30 seconds, sit down and eat. But having an expectation that you come and participate.
And I think that could also glue like community together more.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's pujaris and sometimes it's pujaris are like employees, and then the rest of the community, they don't really know how to like be connected, because there is like, okay, he's paid for it, like what do I do? It's kind of, there is this like mixture of like employee situation, and then the local devotees, like what do I do? There is nothing for me to do, so I think something like this, like Chamarjana could like, like, okay, I can do something for the deities, or for the, it could grow the community more.
Many times your community doesn't know that they can be involved.
Exactly,
A lot of
exactly.
times. We've experienced that so many times.
But share your experience from London, what happened there?
Yeah, we introduced like a pre-training course or pre-onboarding course for those who were interested in doing Pujari service. Then before they go into the Pujari department, we speak about Pujari service, we speak about what's expected, and we speak about the standards. So we had all the Pujaris do that, and also we put it on the notice board. Like, we're running this course for those who want to do service in the Pujari department, then you attend this course. And what happened is, a lot of devotees, they thought, oh, I can do service in the Pujari department if I attend this course for 3 days. I can go and help. Yeah, let me sign up. So it kind of had that effect. A lot of, because we opened it, we put it on the notice board. Everyone comes and sees the notice board. We've got so many people wanting to come in. Oh, I can do Pujari service. Of course, they have to be, the course they attend tells them the standards they have to be at. I mean, that's there. But that's a small thing which we hadn't done before. A lot of devotees in the community didn't know, and they thought, no, I could never go into the Pujari department.
And Somya Radhika is actually going to give that to me, and then I'm hoping to give it to different temples.
So you'll adjust it to your temple, but like the head Pujari might do it 2 or 3 days or 1 day, how much time you have, you introduce them to the Pujari department through perhaps slides and things like that. And then we've done it more, we've gone a step forward where we have a day where they get taken into the Pujari department by someone, they get shown what it's like. It's nice, it kind of worked.
One of the things you'll find is if you invest in people, they'll reciprocate. But it was all just, oh, we're asking, do this, do that. It feels like you just want to take from them all the time, but if you invest in people, then there's reciprocation going on, naturally they'll respond. So you've got to invest in the team. And that's one of the things we're working on now for our ministry team, is I want to do annual training, in all different facets of the service, that they're trained to do the service, they know how to do the service, but also that we're investing energy in them to try and improve the Krishna consciousness. So that's what we're focused on. So thank you for your comments. Mataji, would you like to say anything?
Oh, I just thinking, I think all this is so nice and everything, but my issue or my idea is with the concept that we every Pujari need to think that it's a privilege, enter to the altar. It's a big privilege. No, it's something cheap, It's a big gift that our Prabhupada and our spiritual masters give us, So I was thinking in that because in Mexico City, one devotee told me, when I recently received second initiation, that all the service that I make, every offer, every article and everything is like my spiritual master is doing, It's offered to Prabhupada and Prabhupada to Krishna, Never is directly, And I try all the time when I make service in the altar or something like that, this, in my mind. I try to maintain this in my mind. I try to give my best, And fortunately, I have a good training, for Pujari. In Mexico City, we have good standard. We have in the past good standard. I don't know now, but we have the opportunity to learn of the very good devotees that have very clearly how is all the process and everything, and I'm very grateful with that. And all the time when I enter to the altar and I try to make some service or something like that, I try to have this concept in my mind, no?
Yeah.
And I think individually, no? And this helped me so much to try to offer good service, no? Or try to have good mentality, no? In the altar, no? Always thinking that it's a privilege, no?
Yeah.
No, it's obligation, no, or no, it's I need to go to the residencies, no? Because
like it's a chore.
yeah, no.
Something you don't want to do.
But it's a privilege, no? You have the opportunity to enter to the altar. In other places, it's very hard, no? Enter to the altar, like you say in London, for example, no? You need to have a big process behind or before enter to the altar, no? And I think this standard we need to have here too, no?
Anything we can do to help you to get that will definitely help. There's a few references from Prabhupada I can think of. Often Srila Prabhupada would refer to the deity as being the arch incarnation or the arch avatar of the Lord, and he would explain that this means it's the mercy incarnation of Krishna. Because we've all got material, well, at least I can talk from my perspective. I have material body, material senses, so I can only see matter. I can only interact with matter. And then so Krishna, out of his kindness, has descended in a form that we can interact with, just to give us this opportunity to interact with him directly. So, I mean, how merciful is Krishna? That he appears like that, in that form, just simply to give you and I, every one of us, this opportunity to serve Krishna. So if we can always think of this, that when we're going to serve the deity, how Krishna has appeared in this form, just to give me this opportunity to serve him. Because otherwise I can't serve him. I can't serve him directly. I'll read a quote, a reference. This is from one of the remembrances that Siddhanta recorded. In Vrindavan, Prabhupada commented about the atmosphere and the birds, and when he heard the Aarti ceremony, he said, the highest service that a human being can perform is to be a Pujari, because although the Pujari has a material body, the Pujari serves the Supreme Person of Godhead. The Pujari wakes the Lord up, bathes, dresses and feeds him. These are the activities of the spiritual world, but the Pujari does them in this world. This is the perfection of human life. There is nothing higher than being a Pujari. Yeah? We always thought it was book diffusion, right? Probably saying here there's nothing higher than being a Pujari. There's also another interesting letter where Prabhupada talks about Archan. So I'll see if I can find it, because he only says it in one or two places. It's a really interesting letter. I think he wrote to Himavati. Let me see if I can find this for you quickly.
May I should sing?
Yes, please.
In Mayapur Academy, they say that Pujari are the one who is doing the 15 upayanas every day.
16.
16.
Yeah.
In 1/6. Because if I am only dressing, I cannot say that I full Pujari, I am a dresser. Yeah?
Oh, okay.
If I do flowers, who am I? This florist. But if you awake, if you feed them, if you cook for them, if you bathe them, and then you represent, you do puja. Puja means Pujari. Then this all means Pujari. And I think that everybody can feel this. You know, that here, like Mother just said, that we are, sometimes we hear that we pay you, you should do this. You know, that is no motivation for to, you know, it is not increasing bhakti. It is only just, how to say, to keep you in some frames and time frame also. You know, that's what actually should be said. Devotees should not be like screws, you know, like something like mechanical things. It should be really, we can hear by our own will. We can to find Krishna. And that's why motivation for Pujari should be to become really close to to God, who is actually in our heart. But we forgot about him. That he is here, very close. And we think that he is on the altar, he is in the book, he is at Prabhupada said, they only help you to find him in your heart. this is about the way to your own heart. But here, we most of the time prefer that I only dress, I only do this, or I no, Pujari should do everything every day. We have so many duties. Everybody can do for
But then also you have to factor in the individual nature of the person. You may have an attraction to do soaps which are puja. Others may have attraction to dress the large deities. Others may have attraction to cook. Others may have attraction to clean. Krishna doesn't discriminate.
No, this is not discrimination.
Let me finish. Yeah. It is discrimination because the thing is, like you look at there's a famous story from Mahabharata when Hanuman he's throwing these giant mountains into the ocean. There's a little spider down there throwing grains of sand into the ocean. And Hanuman says to the spider, he says, little spider, you get out of the way, you'll get hurt. And look, you're only throwing in grains of sand. Then Ram corrected him. He said, actually, I see your service and his service the same. Why? Because he's serving me with all his heart, you're serving me with all your heart. So this is the thing. It really gets down to what's going on in the heart, not what's external. And you're saying that point also. It's like what's in the heart. This is what Krishna sees. Not because like some people are very, very expert at doing all the rituals. Some people just can't get their head around it. And we find that when we teach here. Is like some people really cannot get their head around rituals, but you can see the way they interact with the deity very personally.
If you remember the previous conversation, we talked about the turban.
Yeah.
But for me, like a turban is something that maybe not representing Krishna.
Yeah.
But for other people, it is like mandatory, as they said, everyday turbans. So what do you think? This is according to nature, or it is should be?
People have that nature. Like some people aren't satisfied with crowns, but then Prabhupada preferred crowns. So, you know, I mean, if someone's going to put a turban on, they like putting turbans on. The turban should be opulent,
artistic.
You know, and Prabhupada actually said like anyone can wear a turban, but only the king wears a crown. So, if you're going to put a turban on the deity, make sure it's not just like, you know, some brahmachari in Vrindavan with his turban on, but make sure it's like, wow, that's really impressive, you know. So, you know, we have to look at people's natures and try to channel that in the right direction, you know, and people are going to have different attractions. Like, you know, there are devotees like Merle has explained to me, they have their system in London, their pathway to service on the altar. But some people get in the kitchen, they don't want to go any further. They're just happy to cook offerings, you know, cook amazing Raj bowl. So that's their nature. And so we have to also consider people's nature. And you'll have your nature, you like to serve Krishna in a particular way, others will serve him in a different way. But the main thing is, give your heart.
This is my hobby, I'm not professional Pujari.
Oh, that's good.
I'm just,
but the thing is to give your heart to Krishna. That's really what you have to do, is give your heart to Krishna. I want to read this other letter if I may. This is a letter to Himavadi Prabhupada wrote in 69. Please continue system and Krishna will bestow upon you all blessings. If one attains perfection in deity worship, that is called Archan Siddhi. Archan Siddhi means by deity worship one goes back home to Godhead immediately after this life. So this is Archan Siddhi. Program is given in so, but basically what he's saying is like if you achieve Archan Siddhi, you don't go to somewhere else in the universe where Krishna is performing pastimes to perfect himself, because you've already perfected yourself in Krishna's pastimes. The Archa Vigraha is one of the 5 incarnations of the Lord. So if you perfect yourself through the process of deity worship, at the end of this life, back on to Goloka. So it's quite an amazing thing. This Krishna has come here, he's performing his pastimes in so many deities around the world. In the form of so many deities around the world, and we get this amazing opportunity, isn't it? It's such an amazing opportunity to serve Krishna directly. We can be the first person he sees when he wakes up in the morning. We can be the last person he sees when he goes to bed at night. We can cook for him, we can bathe him, we can dress him, we can feed him. One thing Janani Prabhu does in Mayapur, I remember going to the altar, he was teaching me how to put the deities to bed. So he gets, you've seen him do this? He gets the bowl of condensed milk, and you sit in front of the deity and you'll feed him the condensed milk like that. Yeah, it's just such a personal exchange with the deity, and then you sit down and read the Krishna book to Madhava. Yeah? So you get this opportunity to have a really intimate personal exchange. Of course, we don't want to be it comes to hajjs or anything like that, but we because we follow rules and regulations so we can purify our heart. But we have this opportunity to just have such a sweet exchange with Krishna, according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. You have something you'd like to contribute, Balaji?
Yeah, I really appreciate when you said, when you started to become a devotee, how, you go through the process of like cleaning and, everything else. But it took me like 10 years after I got my second initiation to be on the altar. Everything was like cleaning, cooking, book distribution, that sort of thing. And then 10 years after, it went through the senior devotee, oh, you're allowed now, you could go on the altar. Then you started with Gauri time, as you said, it was like that. And then another 5 years, then Radha Krishna. Like that it was then. But, the same thing, it was like cleaning, have everything nicely, everything should be nice, pleasing the deities, you want them to look like this, you don't want them, like when people see the deities, like Prabhupada said, Krishna, oh, he looks so beautiful, but everything should be nicely. And it comes from your heart too as well, that, everything should be perfect for the deities, Pujari Prabhu had said, when you see the deities and, like when you dress in them, you should always meditate and then, like, oh, Krishna, please allow me to dress you like this, it should be this, And of course, as the cleanliness, he was so much, emphasizing the cleanliness when I took the deity worship. But now for somehow or the other, like, and you desire too, like I was telling you the other day, like I like flowers so much. Like everywhere I go, like, oh, I should get flowers here. And
Mantra is
that
flower,
is-
flower,
That's good, because Krishna likes flowers.
Yeah, so my meditation is like, where should I get this flower? What color I should get here today? That is my thing, and I'm thinking maybe Krishna, I don't know, but my Guru Maharaj and Krishna blessed me that I could just read him in Panchantra.
Nice. There's a number of letters where devotees have sent Prabhupada pictures of festivals and things like that, and often Prabhupada would write back saying, "Oh, very nice. However, I think you should use more flowers." So Prabhupada also always encouraged devotees to use lots and lots of flowers. And you'll see when Krishna's decorated with flowers, it looks so gorgeous. His face is just like, because sometimes he's called Mukunda, and Mukunda actually means there's a particular. You know what a star jasmine is?
Yes.
That's called Kunda. So Mukunda means he's got his face is round like a star jasmine. So he's got a face like a flower. And so he's very fond of flowers. And so it's a very nice way because you offer flowers to Krishna because he's also soft like a flower. So,
do you have any standard for offering flowers? How they should be?
Lots of flowers, fragrant.
But maybe in size, maybe
no. Fragrant.
Because sometimes we have flowers that for decoration they are very small.
Yeah, that's okay. Like sometimes we get that. Do you call it baby breath here?
Yeah.
That looks really nice in their hair and stuff. They're tiny little flowers,
Yes.
But according to the scriptures, he's particularly fond of yellow flowers and white flowers. Especially you see things like gardenias, all the jasmines. They're quite fragrant.
I mean, when you offer during the puja,
No, there's no rules. I mean,
no, you mean for the late artis, 7 artis,
there's
no rules.
Nice.
Either 4 to the feet or 7 around the body during artis.
Yeah, because in different temples I saw that Pujari is going to pick them because they are more beautiful and they're small to offer them than maybe less small and small, not good visible. So,
but also depends on what's readily available because, for instance, where I live in Australia, the main flower you can get from the markets is carnations. And they may have been made of paper, they have no fragrance whatsoever because they're all grown in hothouses. But if they're grown outside, they have natural fragrance. So a lot of it, and there's a really interesting purport in verse 4854 where Narad Muni is instructing Dhruva Maharaj, and he says that you should worship the deity according to time, place, available conveniences and inconveniences. And then he goes on to explain what may be convenient in India may not be convenient in the Western countries. So if you're able to grow your flowers, then you'll have much more fragrant flowers because usually what you get from the wholesalers have no fragrance because they're grown under lights, they're grown in hothouses, no fragrance. So if you can grow your own flowers, that's a much better environment, much better situation. But we offer whatever's available.
No, we have many different, but for some reason we see only small flowers in the Pujari room, very small. So when I offer and I give to somebody, they don't
small
see.
flowers are okay. Small flowers are okay. That's fine.
Fragrance.
Yeah, as long, you know, if you can get flowers that are fragrant, that's best.
Yes.
But if you can't get flowers that are fragrant, just whatever you can get.
Sometimes we put rose water.
No, don't do that.
It's not good.
There's one statement I came across that the only time you can scent a flower is if it's made of pure gold.
Natural.
No, if it's made of pure gold, then you can put scent on it.
Oh, okay.
Having a pure gold flower.
What was the same question I was going to ask, you know, like if you could put, like, you know, we get this carnation, especially in the
You're trying
winter
to
time.
trick Krishna.
This is not a rose.
This is good, but for example, when I dress, I try to get some flowers from the room, no? Nice flower, I try to get flowers, but when I don't dress, I don't take care for the flowers.
Yeah.
If they have flowers, other Pujaris have flowers, I don't take care. But I take my flowers for me. I want to dress very nice. But if the other devotees don't have flowers, I don't take care. I can keep for later or something. So nice.
Cover it with a cloth.
Yes.
Don't touch.
Hands off.
Yeah. So nice, but then the practice we are different.
Yeah, skull and crossbones.
We had a season where we just grew marigolds here in Vrindavan.
Very nice.
And Prabhu made it mandatory that because these are in-house flowers, we were only going to use marigolds.
Yeah.
And it used to smell so good all around. It has a very earthy smell. And,
Prabhupada liked marigolds.
and it was amazing because the garlands were marigold and then we would decorate deities with them. It would smell very nice, very fragrant.
But also with marigolds, if you squeeze them at the back, more fragrance comes. They're quite nice like that.
But winter flowers, they're not fragrant.
Yeah, but it's just a challenge, you know, it's like, there's not much you can do about that. You know? It's just the challenge of dealing with what you've got, but the main thing is to have flowers for it.
Yeah.
When he likes them.
Caution about marigolds with white marble.
Yeah, marigolds, they have quite a strong oil in them. So even like you see, like, you know, in the prayer when you're putting Radha Krishna bed, it says, Divya Pushpacha Sayam Cha. So come to this bed decorated with aromatic flowers. But if you put the flowers on the sheet and then you put the deities on top of the flowers, it'll stain the clothes and it'll stain the sheets, and you can't get the stain out. It's the same with marble. You just got to watch it on white marble because the marigolds can. Although I think the marble here is sealed. It looks like it's been sealed on the floor.
Oh no, I was talking about the deities.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like in Vrindavan, you'll see Lord Chaitanya. He's actually got yellow stains on his shoulders here from the marigold garlands. You know, so you have to be careful with marigolds. But you know, like Prabhupada didn't want the deities in the Western countries dressed without shirts. He liked them to have shirts on. So yeah, just be careful with marigolds. They are fragrant, but they can stain. There's a few different flowers like that that stain quite strongly. You would like to contribute anything?
Mataji served in the palace.
We were up there yesterday. It was just like, wow,
She was
so
offering
beautiful.
Solamente decir que
Solo quería, I only want to say
que me sorprende
I'm very
un poco
surprised a little
que haya cosas tan fundamentales
there is so basic things that
de las que se está hablando como la
that we are
limpieza
talking about cleanliness
y que es algo que todos deberíamos de estar muy
and there is something that everyone should
dedicados
very dedicated
a practicarla
to practice
porque la limpieza se refleja en todo.
The cleanliness is reflecting everything.
En el trato con los demás,
And
Prabhupada dice
and how to behave with others. Prabhupada say
que la limpieza se manifiesta en nuestros tratos con las personas, nuestros
the-
tratos, buenos tratos con las
the
personas.
cleanliness is manifest in the behavior with others, the good behaviors towards others.
Entonces creo que
So
cuando yo llegué aquí,
when I reached here,
hace
arrived
casi
here
2 años,
2 years ago,
sí noté una carencia
I see this lack of
en cuanto a la limpieza.
this cleanliness.
Y ha mejorado bastante.
And it is improved a lot.
Pero creo que no todos los
But I believe that not everyone.
no todos o más bien es importante que desarrollemos
I think
el hábito.
it is important
todos.
that everyone, all of us, we develop this habit of.
Y bueno, tal vez es malo que lo diga porque
And
siempre digo cosas
Maybe it's bad I say that because I always say things like
que no le gustan a los
Good,
demás.
good, just say it.
people don't like to listen this.
Pero quisiera yo hacer este énfasis en el punto de
I
la
would like
limpieza.
to really have a point in this
Porque
point about the cleanliness.
está en todo.
It is in everything.
En los ashrams,
In the ashrams,
en nuestra propia limpieza
in
personal.
our old hygiene.
The car.
In the
En
car.
el carro, en la cocina.
In the kitchen.
Tú ves las cucarachas
You
ahí
can see the
corriendo por
frogs
todos lados.
running everywhere.
Y solamente yo creo que si podemos trabajar en eso
And
con
I
mucha
think if we really
dedicación,
work very hard with dedication,
vamos
that,
a tener,
then we will be,
vamos a realizar un servicio
we
excelente
will
para
really have excellent
el
service
movimiento de Prabhupada.
for Srila Prabhupada movement.
Very good point. And then, can I tell you an interesting story?
Quiero decirte una historia.
Prabhupada, the last time he went to Kumbh Mela,
La última vez que Prabhupada fue
he pointed out to Jammu, he pointed out this sadhu, he said, look at this sadhu
y
over
le
here,
dijo, mira este sadhu que está allá,
look at his water pot.
mira su olla que tiene.
You see
de
how clean
agua.
his water pot
Y
is?
puedes ver cómo qué tan limpio está.
This means his heart is
Eso
pure.
significa que su corazón está limpio.
And when our heart is pure,
Cuando tu corazón está limpio,
the way we interact with each other is
la
pure
forma en
also.
que interactuamos con otros también está limpia.
So it's very important that we
Así
try
que
to
es muy
cultivate purity.
importante que
And-
la limpieza.
Just in relation to what Prabhu was saying about the car should be clean also,
Así como el Prabhupada dice que, sorry, to repeat last? Así como el Prabhupada dijo que también el carro tiene que estar limpio.
in London,
En London,
Sri Ramaraj was going to a program,
Maharaj venía al programa
and this devotee came to pick him up,
y un devoto vino a recogerlo.
opened the door for Sri Ramaraj to
Y,
get in the car.
y él abrió la puerta
I said, I'm not getting in there, it's not
y
clean.
dijo, ahí no voy a entrar, esto no está limpio.
And so he wouldn't get into the car because
Y
it
él no
wasn't clean.
entró al carro porque
And
no
so we
estaba
need to
limpio.
develop this kind of consciousness of the
Necesitamos
necessity of
desarrollar
cleaning.
esta conciencia.
It's not an optional thing, it's
No es
necessary.
opcional, es
We're not-
necesario.
If we're not clean,
Si
we're not going back to Godhead, simple as that.
Si no somos limpios, no vamos a regresar a casa de
Because it's
Dios.
essential for making spiritual things.
Es esencial para nuestra vida espiritual.
Martha, do you have anything you want to say?
Es como cuando,
It is
complementando un poquito
like
lo que Ramón dice,
telling a little about what Mataji say.
desafortunadamente
Unfortunately,
nosotros vemos que
we
solamente
saw
es como trabajo
like
para
a
el
work
servicio a la deidad
for service to the deity.
y no mezclamos el servicio con trabajo.
We mix the service with the work.
Como se paga, entonces
Because
a lo
we
mejor
get
tenemos
paid,
otro tipo
then
de
we have a
conciencia
conscience that
para realizarlo
for,
rápido.
oh, I need to do
no
fast.
tener el tiempo
Don't have enough time
dedicarle tiempo a la
to
deidad, ¿no?
really have this dedication to the deity.
En vestir,
And dress,
en la limpieza,
and cleaning,
en todo en general,
in
hacia la
general,
deidad.
onto towards the deity.
Quizás
Maybe
se separarlo o de qué
s-
manera podría
severe
funcionar mejor
this or how
o
which will be
complementarlo
the
para
way
que sea solo
that
nuestro servicio sin pensar de es un
how,
trabajo
how,
y
how should we to use to make this service better or separate that we can serve better
y dedicarle
and
tiempo
dedicate
para
time.
no hacerlo rápido
Don't do
y
fast
a lo mejor mal hecho.
and maybe doing wrong.
But it's really about your consciousness.
This,
Yeah? If you didn't get paid, would you be able to do the service?
if you can repeat.
It's about the consciousness.
Es acerca de la conciencia.
If you didn't get paid,
Si tú
would you be able to do the
si
service?
tú no
You probably
tienes
have-
paga, ¿lo harías?
You probably have to go get a job so you can maintain yourself.
Así que lo harías.
So, I mean,
Tienes que mantener tu
you know,
trabajo porque lo necesitas.
you need income
Necesitas un
to
ingreso,
live.
necesitas para
Simple.
vivir, simple.
But that should not impact the quality of
Pero
your
eso no
service at
debe
all.
de impactar el servicio para nada.
Just try to see it, Krishna's giving you a facility so you can live here in New Vrindavan and serve him.
Decir que
Don't see it as a job. It's not a job.
esta
It's
actividad
service.
es servicio.
And Krishna's giving you some facility
Sí,
so you can do the
Cristo
service.
está dando que puedes hacer el servicio.
And whatever's, like, and this is a perennial kind of conversation about giving Pujari's income.
Que hemos tenido acerca de
But for me, I just think it's in our modern society it's essential.
pero pienso que nuestro movimiento es esencial.
Especially for grihastas, you have children, you have a
Especialmente
partner to
ustedes
look after.
tienen hijos,
How are you going to put your kids through school if you don't have
van a
income?
ir sus hijos a la escuela si no tienen
How are you going to give them medical facilities and dental facilities and clothes, etc., etc.,
ropa y el doctor,
if you don't have income?
si no tienes un hijo.
So just see the income as a benediction from Krishna so you can stay here and serve him.
Así que esto es una bendición.
Don't see it as a job. If you see it as a job, it'll always be like that and it won't be
Siempre
helpful.
habrá eso.
Ya, yo entiendo eso, me
I
refiero
understand that.
a que si todos lo practicamos de esa
If
manera
all
que el
of us
servicio
we practice in that way,
cambiaría muchas cosas
that
en
many
relación a
things
la
will
limpieza.
change. Because actually she don't get paid for for good day to worship.
Yeah.
Doesn't get paid.
No,
No,
she not
understood. But don't see it as a job, and that's
Porque
that's
es
one of
un
the
trabajo.
problems that comes when we do pay pujaris.
Que vamos.
Some of them see it as a job,
Algunas personas dicen es un trabajo.
and so I think one thing we can try to do is just be a little bit reflective about who we're engaging in the service and who we're maintaining, and so that the ones we are maintaining have appropriate consciousness and not that it just becomes a job for them.
Una conciencia.
Because when they've got a job, they clock in, they clock out. No, I'm here from 1 o'clock to 2:30. I'm not staying 1 second after 2:30 because that's what I get paid for.
Ay, estoy hasta esta hora, entonces ya no voy.
That's a really bad mentality
Esa es una mentalidad muy mala.
because we're not developing this loving relationship with Krishna. It's just business,
Solamente es un.
and we don't have a business relationship with
No
God.
tenemos una relación de negocio.
Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't want that. He told this, I'm not a merchant. I'm not serving you for money
No te estoy
or
sirviendo
some
por
payment.
dinero o algo.
I'm serving because I love you,
Te estoy sirviendo
and that's what we need to develop: is this loving relationship with Krishna.
realmente tener amor por Cristo.
Ah, sorry, perdón, Maja, que diga. Me refiero a que
I refer
como
to-
hay ciertas horas, por ejemplo, en
Because
la mañana se viste
sometimes
por 2 horas y
in
media.
the morning it is dressed for 2 hours and a half.
Entonces a veces no se da el tiempo,
There
y
is-
no se pasa, pero como hay una hora exacta
There is a time to do it
para vestir porque
for dress.
se establece una hora
because this is the time for.
para que no se pasen o cumplan
Then-
las horas de servicio.
Then is the counting of the hours for the service.
Entonces
in the general.
se hace muy rápido
It need to
y
be
no se da el tiempo a lo que
very
quiero
fast.
explicar de que
and
con
sometimes it's
dedicación
it's not the
y
time
hacer
to do
cosas
it with
de más.
dedication, doing a little more.
Ese es
No, I understand.
That is my opinion.
There's a common thing that happens.
One thing that I want to mention, that the Pujaris here, J. Krishna Prabhu established to do some hours, regularly 6, but
Per day.
some devotees make less. Usually everyone make less, make less,
Make
make
less hours
less hours.
at the day, no?
But
Don't make the 6 hours.
We are counting also that they take shower 2-3 times a day. You know, we don't put 36 because sometimes it's so much for some, because they can come 3 times, take shower. You know, it's sometimes it's hard, no? Especially winter, take shower, get out, it's little hard. But you know, some devotees also, ¿cómo se critica? They say they are material devotees, they pay, so you know, some communities say things like that.
That's not a good mentality. The thing is, like, honestly speaking, in the age we live in, the time we live in, for many people it's necessary. If you didn't maintain, and I don't see it as paying, I see it as maintenance. If you don't maintain these pujaris, how will the service go on? That's the reality. How will the service go on? And so, I think, you know, for someone like Jai Krishna as a manager, he's just, you know, because he's kind of a manager type. He just looks, okay, I've got a problem. This is how I can solve the problem. Okay, problem solved, I'll move on to the next thing. Now, what we have to look at is how to cultivate the right mentality, both in those who are being maintained and in those who aren't being maintained, because they have a similar problem with Bhaktivedanta. Most of their pujaris are maintained, and all the ones who aren't maintained criticize the ones that are being maintained, or you're just a paid pujari. You know, and they see and also like the ones who are paid, they don't want to give their service to someone who's not paid because they might get less money. You know, so there's problems that come along with that scenario, but I can't see a better solution. You know, so I think it's necessary in order to maintain the worship. We just have to work on our consciousness, having the right consciousness. I'm not doing this as a job, I'm doing it as a service. Krishna is giving me some facilities so I can do the service. And also for those who don't get income, they should also see the same way, look, you know, they're doing this service, I'm unable to do this service the way they're doing, so fine. They get maintained so they can do service here for Krishna. And you know, it's just, we really have to, you know, develop a bit of a broader consciousness about it and understand, you know, it's a necessary thing. Otherwise, you know, how many pujaris are getting maintained?
Here like 11, I think.
11. If you took them off the roster, what would the roster look like?
Nothing.
It would be a disaster.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, unless you can come up with a better way of doing it, it seems to me like it's necessary. You know, some of the more puristic sort of devotees in ISKCON say, oh no, this is Maya, but it's real. It's like, you know, if you pull those 11 devotees out of the roster, you know, how are you going to maintain?
So community is coming or not?
but that's, you've got to deal with reality. That's like, you know, that's idealistic, but it's not real. You know, it's like, we can, you know, like here in this project they say, oh, you know, Prabhupada wanted to be a farm, you know, that we want more farming. But who's willing to get in the land and farm? How many people are willing to do that? I live on a farm community. None of our local devotees are willing to farm. They get all the yoga village people doing the farming. Because the devotees aren't willing to do it, because they all come from city. City people want to drive cars and have phones and computers and all that sort of stuff, you know. Farmers, they don't. They sit on a tractor or they sit behind bullocks. You know, so it's a different mentality. So, you know, I mean, the main thing is the deities being maintained, the movement's being pushed on. And so we just have to look at how to, what's the right mentality to have in that environment and how to cultivate that mentality. So we're not thinking it's a job, and also we're not criticizing those who are being maintained. They're not professional pujaris, they're servants of Krishna. It just so happens that in order to do their service, they need a little bit of maintenance.
The other mentality that they say that they need to, you know, they need to make everything because they temple pay them, so they need to. I'm not coming to clean, I'm not coming to do that.
But see, again, it gets back to the same thing I was saying before. If we appreciate that Krishna has come here in this form for my benefit, to give me the chance to serve the deity, that mentality will never arise, because we understand that's their relationship with Krishna, and because the way they're cultivating their relationship with Krishna, Krishna's maintaining them. Krishna's already maintaining every living entity in the universe. He's maintaining, you know, he gives the elephants things to eat, he gives the cows whatever they need to eat, he gives the lions whatever they need to eat, he gives us whatever we need to eat, and they need some money, so he's giving them money too. You know? Whether you go and work for some you know, non-devotee company or whatever, or whether you're working for the temple or serving the temple, you still need money. It seems to me that there may be an element of envy in that as well. And so you shouldn't worry about that, just push on with the service and just try to cultivate the right mentality. Because we're all trying to serve Krishna, that needs to be the bottom line. And regardless of whether someone gets maintenance or not, I want to serve Krishna, I want to cultivate my relationship with him, which is independent of your relationship with him. It's a problem that commonly comes up.
Pero hay una contradicción
There
aquí
is a contradiction in this.
dentro de la misma comunidad,
In the
dentro de la
community.
misma administración.
Administration.
A little bit louder so I can hear, Manager.
Oh, sorry. There is a contradiction in the
Dentro de la misma
in the same
comunidad
community
y
and
la
administration.
misma liderazgo acerca de que es mejor el servicio de no pagado
It is better not
que el
get
pagado.
paid and
Better not
get
get what?
paid. It is better not get paid better not get paid that get the payment. Yeah.
Y por ejemplo, en mi
So
caso,
it's better for children to starve.
sí, o sea, como que tu servicio
Yeah, your service
es de
is
segunda clase
of
porque te lo
second
están
class
pagando.
because you get paid.
Entonces, por ejemplo, en mi caso,
In my case,
yo llego media hora antes a mi
if I
servicio
reach 30 minutes early
y termino media hora
and
después
finish 30 minutes after,
y yo me siento satisfecha
and
de
I
esa
feel
manera.
satisfied.
Porque yo sé que no me da tiempo a hacer
I
las
know.
cosas como yo las quiero.
I know I don't have enough time to do the things how I
Si
want.
me limito al
If I
tiempo
limit myself
que me pagan.
to the time I get paid.
Pero yo
But-
estoy satisfecha
but
porque
I'm
sé que
satisfied.
Prabhupada está
I know
satisfecho
Sri
con mi
Prabhupada
servicio.
is satisfied with the
So that's-
service.
That's the problem that comes when we see it as a job. We clock in, we clock out. We've got our time card, we're in and out. That's
Sí.
the problem.
Pero aquí hay una cosa, que los devotos que toman el pago,
The devotees
que no hay
that
problema,
take the pay.
yo no condeno que tomes un pago, yo estoy
don't
tomando un pago.
criticize you take the pay because I also do the same.
Pero a pesar de que toman el pago,
They
no se esfuerzan por hacer algo
take
más.
the payment, but they don't get the effort to do something extra.
Esa es una cosa que
That
se observa la
something That the
administración
administration observe.
y de alguna manera juzga, ok, estás tomando el pago,
In
pero no
some
estás
way,
haciendo
in some
algo
way the
mejor.
administration see this and they judge that, oh, you are taking the payment, but you are not doing something better.
Eso
Yeah,
es-
so what you're saying is real, but then if you look at
Eso
that,
es real.
who loses in that situation?
¿Quién es la persona que pierde en esta situación?
The devotees.
The
el
devotee who
devoto,
has that
el
mentality.
Pujari,
The
claro.
Pujari.
The devotee who has that mentality loses because they're not cultivating their loving relationship with Krishna.
Ellos no están cultivando una relación
It's just
con
business.
Krishna, solamente están haciendo un negocio.
Por eso hay una cuestión
For that,
aquí, cuando hay una queja
When
acerca
there
de que
is a
no
complaint,
tenemos el tiempo
don't have
lo
the time.
tenemos siempre.
The time we always will
Podemos
have.
llegar antes,
We can reach
podemos
early.
estar más tiempo,
We can start a little
podemos
more
hacer
time.
más,
We can do more.
porque además estamos tomando el pago.
Because also we are taking the payment.
¿Por qué no dar más?
Why not give more?
Si queremos
Yeah, but-
estar en la
If
conciencia
we
de que
want to
estamos
stay in this
sirviendo,
conscious that we are
no somos
serving.
mercenarios.
Well, I understand all this, you know, and it's not like this is the only temple that has this
Entiendo todo
dynamic.
esto, eso pasa.
But all I'm trying to say is like, if we want to
Si queremos
have a system like this,
un sistema,
we need to work on cultivating
tenemos que cultivar
the proper understanding.
un entendimiento adecuado.
If we think it's a job,
Si pensamos que es un trabajo,
what benefit are we going to get
¿cuál
from
es
it?
el beneficio que vamos a tener?
It's just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was giving Bhagavatam class,
Estaba dando clase.
and the conch blew for the arti. Some of his disciples, they got up and went and took darshan on the deity.
Can you repeat that?
Some of his disciples left the class to go take darshan on the deity.
Algunos discípulos se fueron para tomar el darshan de la deidad.
And he made the comment, they will only see stone.
And él dijo,
because they're not interested in hearing.
a una piedra porque no están escuchando.
So if someone, you know, because they don't have the proper conscience, they're not interested in hearing from the same person.
No está nada.
So in the same way, if someone has this consciousness, I'm getting paid, therefore I clock in, I clock out.
Obteniendo esa paga, entrada, salida.
You know, I do two, as you're saying, 2.5 hours, whatever it is, for the dressing.
2 horas y media.
That's it, not 1 minute more.
2 horas y media, no ni un minuto más.
They won't get any benefit from that
¿Cuál es el beneficio de eso?
because it's just a job.
Es solamente un trabajo.
It's just external. It's not about cultivating their loving relationship with
Pero no
Krishna.
hay ninguna cultivo de una relación.
So
Yeah,
somehow,
I understand.
so somehow or other, we have to work on
Así que tenemos que
encouraging
trabajar
that awareness
en
in
que
devotees.
esto tiene que
This is maintenance. It's not pay. It's maintenance,
No,
just so you can
es un mantenimiento, no es un pago.
look after your family, you can look after yourself,
Así que puedes
whatever.
cuidar de tu familia.
Yeah. But really, we need to work on cultivating
Pero
my
lo
relationship with Krishna.
cultivar mi relación con Krishna.
Otherwise, it's of no benefit.
De otra manera no hay ningún beneficio.
And that's probably why it's creating tension in the community, because it's seen as a job.
Intencionalmente cuando se piensa así,
But it was
es un
just
trabajo.
seen as a necessary thing that we
Pero
have
es
to
una
do so
cosa
we can
necesaria
maintain
que
our
necesitamos
service.
hacer para mantener el
But it's very
servicio.
different.
Es muy
Do
diferente.
you pay Pujaris in London?